police make an arrest in connection to the horrific attack on a New York City subway. The NYPD says a woman was sleeping on the train this morning before she was deliberately set on fire by another passenger. The woman, who is yet to be identified, has died. This is what authorities had to say on how technology played a factor in all of this.
Today's brutal murder was captured on one of those onboard train video cameras. It offered detectives immediately answers to questions that they had. What happened? It offered them images of the perpetrator. It allowed them to take those images and release them to the public. And it allowed the public to see something and say something. And that's why we're standing here now reporting that an individual is in custody, a person of interest is in custody.
CNN's Gloria Pazmino has been tracking this story. What are these new details, Gloria?
Well, Jessica, extremely disturbing details that we learned from police officials just a short while ago. This happened early this morning around 7:30 at the Stillwell Avenue station in Coney Island, which is in Brooklyn. And this is the end of the subway line. Now, police tell us that there was a woman who appeared to be sleeping on the subway car. The subway car was not moving at the time. And then the suspect approached her, lit her on fire, apparently using a lighter. That's what we learned during the press conference just a short while ago. The woman immediately caught fire. She was engulfed in flames, and officers that were patrolling the station at that hour were able to respond and put out the flames. They were unfortunately not able to save her. EMS responded to the scene, and the woman was pronounced dead at the scene. Now, police really just were able to give a lot of detail, thanks in part to the cameras that were in the subway car. This is a relatively new thing here in New York City, Jessica, that we have nearly full subway cover when it comes to surveillance cameras. That was how they were able to get very good, clear images of the suspect, which they then arrested several hours later. One very important detail, which the law enforcement officials went into, is that they were able to disseminate those images through the media and the press, and then they got a tip from 3 young New Yorkers. So the police commissioner said that they were high school age, who saw the man and reported it to the police. They were able to make an arrest, and he is now in custody. I want you to take a listen to the police officials just describing this incident earlier this morning.
Someone who we believe carried out one of the most just depraved crimes one person could possibly commit against another human being. And it took the life of an innocent New Yorker. But at this hour, I am pleased to announce that a short time ago, alert NYPD transit officers took a person of interest into custody.
So a combination of technology and good old-fashioned police work there, Jessica, as well as New Yorkers who were paying attention and called it into that tip line. We are waiting to hear details on the charges that this person is facing, and of course more details about the person who was killed in this absolutely senseless tragedy. Jessica?
All right, Gloria Pazmino, thank you very much. And joining us now is CNN Chief Law Enforcement and Intelligence Analyst John Miller. He was formerly the Deputy Commissioner of Intelligence and Counterterrorism for the NYPD. John, first, I just want to get your thoughts generally about this crime and how it all progressed throughout the day and the key role that officials say technology played.
Well, Jessica, it's one of those things that actually could have happened very differently and unfolded in an equally tragic way. So you have an empty train car. You have an individual who approaches this woman who's sleeping. He uses this lighter, according to the video that was downloaded from that train car, to set the blanket that she is wearing on fire. And that fire expands until it awakens her. But at this point, she's engulfed in flames and stands up. At that point, the individual who set her on fire has retreated from the train car and sat down in the station on a bench to watch her stand and burn. When police arrive, all they see is her in the train car, and they summon people with fire extinguishers and people to render aid. But if it was not for the video in the train car, the MTA gets there, they download the video, and they see it, this wouldn't have been a homicide. This would have been either a mystery or a question about how did this woman either catch fire or set herself on fire? But for that video depicted this individual approaching or lighting on fire. There were no other witnesses to that. Interestingly, the technology then expands because one of the officers on the scene turns towards where this man is sitting outside the train car on the bench, and his body camera actually captures that face. Once they download the video and realize he's gone, they're able to exploit the body cam video to say, here's his picture, put that out over their social media channel, crowdsource it to everybody riding the train and everybody in the city, and he's spotted hours away and far away. So a lot of technology came together, and, you know, it's interesting. When this technology was suggested by the governor and the mayor, cameras on every train car, cameras in every station, the New York Civil Liberties Union came out with a statement. The New York Civil Liberties Union strongly opposes NYPD's plans to increase the number of surveillance cameras until police come up with a plan to safeguard the use of these cameras and the images they capture on tape. Our concerns extend to the announced increase in surveillance cameras on the subway. It was interesting that, you know, privacy advocates and civil liberties people oppose these cameras when you talk to people in the subway, all they say is more cops, more cameras.
Yeah, that it is so interesting, and you make such a great point that if that camera wasn't there, then we would have maybe never known that anybody had a role in lighting this woman on fire. With that in mind, John, what do we know more about the victim and the suspect? Officials were pretty scant with details. They were still working to ID the victim, frankly. With the suspect, all they could say is that he had arrived in 2018 from Guatemala. That was about all we got. What more are you learning?
When they took the suspect into custody, he basically self-identifies. They did not find any, as I am told from my sources, they didn't find any ID on him. So they're going by his statement as to what his name was, what his date of birth was, when he arrived in this country, where he came from. Of course, they'll be running fingerprints and other records to see if they can confirm that ID, including where he's been staying and to document all that background. But right now, they're not able to speak as to whether he has any prior record of violence or violations on the subway, because all they know about him, at least at this moment, is what he's told them.
Mm-hmm. And I also want to ask you about the fact that New York Governor Kathy Hochul, who you mentioned played a role with the mayor in putting these cameras into the subway, sent National Guard troops into the subway for security during the holidays. Do you think that was the right move? And just generally, when it comes to security with the New York subway, where do you think that stands today?
Well, I think it was the right move in that the National Guard is a backup to the existing law enforcement system. They spend tons of money on overtime to push cops from the street to do overtime tours in the subway. But I think we've all figured out the key here is after the incident involving Frank James in 2022, when he at random opened fire and shot 10 people on the subway, and the cameras on the station were not functioning that day, and we were deprived of that video during the investigation I was a part of, the push to get those cameras in every station, in every subway car, makes a real difference. And here's the other irony here, which is the police commissioner we saw speaking, Jessica Tisch, before she was police commissioner and sanitation commissioner and commissioner of internet for the city, she spearheaded NYPD's technology as the deputy commissioner there. She was the one who introduced the body cameras to the street, which were critical today. The ability to transmit information to 36,000 phones that police officers were carrying, including images, which was instrumental today, pushing NYPD's social media. So as she comes around to her new role as police commissioner, she's literally reaping the benefits of her own hard work from years ago.
Yeah, it is incredible, the groundwork that she laid that now has helped her both in this and also Luigi Mangione's case as well. John Miller, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Good to see you.